Yeah, hi guys. I hope I'm adequately audible, and the screen should also be visible if I'm not wrong. Right. So there might be some delay in the feed, so it might take 10 or like 5 seconds for me to answer your question. So you can anyway drop your questions over there. All right. Right. So let's start. So as you had seen the tag of this particular webinar, right? So or this workshop, this is specifically related to the digital interview that's happening all around. So just to give you insight on what's happening, right? So let's talk about the situation out there. So I believe you have already posted some of the questions like when is it happening, when will it be, and all that, right? So let me just tell you what exactly is the situation outside. So you have taken the NQT, you might have given the coding round, all right? So only then you would be eligible for this particular interview, correct? So if you have finished the digital coding round, the advanced coding round, then you would be sent a mail, all right? So I'll tell you how it's actually going out there. So you would be sent a mail related to when you would be having your interview and what exactly would be the profile. All right, so they are informing it. So I think till date, if you have finished your advanced coding round, if you have already got the mail, well and good. If you have not got it, you will be specifically informed via email, which will be the profile you'll be giving the interview for. All right, so you do not have to worry about it. Ninja and digital, basically the difference Gokul is that the package, right? So Ninja is for a higher package. I'm sorry, Ninja is for a lower package. Digital is for a higher package. So 7 LPA. So that's the basic difference. Uh, Not got interview schedule for. All right. So if you okay, so most of the students might not have got the schedule for interview of Ninja. All right. So you might have just got a confirmation. So just giving a like a piece of information over here. This workshop is specifically related to digital, but just giving a heads up that if you have not got any emails related to the Ninja interview, you'll definitely get it. So if you have got a confirmation, just sit tight. You just have to wait for some time. You'll be getting it soon. All right. So Kushal, I hope I've answered that question. Uh, Right. So if you fail in the digital interviews, will they give chance for ninja interviews? All right. So let me just answer that question. So basically, what's happening right now is you guys will be giving just one interview if you have given NQT. All right. So if you have given NQT test, either you'll be selected for the interview that would be directly for your ninja interview, or you would be selected for the advanced coding round. Right. So if you're selected for the advanced coding round, again there'll be an interview which would be for your digital or your ninja profile. All right, so it basically depends on how you would have performed in your advanced coding round. And after you give your digital interview also, there are possibilities, there are cases, or there were scenarios where candidates were chosen for the ninja interview. All right, so a ninja profile, not the interview. All right, so you would just be giving one interview irrespective of what will be the pathway you have taken. Either you could have directly gone into ninja interview, or you might have given the advanced coding round, and you might have gone for the interview, then the profile would be ninja. So I think I've answered that question. Simon, yeah, definitely, I think you should. They have just started giving out the mails, so yeah, you can wait for some time. Swarupa, you will definitely be getting it. So either you'll be getting it for the Ninja profile, or you'll be getting it for the digital. So whoever has given the advanced coding round, you will definitely be given a chance to attend the interview. Right. So that's that. Cool. So I'll anyway answer all of your questions. So let me just put some thoughts on the ideas or the actual informations what we had collected from the interviewers, like the person who has taken the interview, and then probably I'll take up your questions. Right. So first up, according to the analysis, what we have done, what are the important things that are required? So documents, what are the documents that are required? So Specifically in the email, they would have mentioned, all right. So people who have got selected for the interviews of digital, they would have got an email. I'll show you the email what screenshot what they had got. So I've got it over here. So the documents required would be all your mark sheets, be it your 10th plus 2s, that is your 12th, then your graduation. So all your mark sheets would be required. Now this is just for having it in handy, all right. So it is most of the cases they had not asked all these documents, but some of the cases while they were validating all the average marks or the percentages, they just wanted to clarify with the candidate, so they have asked the candidate to spot it through the camera or show the soft copy via the screen share, right? So these instances were also there, so it's better to have the documents in your hand, both your digitized copy and your physical copy. All right, so you can have both of it. Next, a document would be a government ID proof. So just like all the other interviews that are happening, so even in TCS Digital from NQT, they're also requesting the candidates to sport the government ID or whatever government IDs you have along with your face, and they're probably taking a screenshot, a screen capture. And so this is just for the verification. So I think this should not be a problem. Any one government ID proof should be sufficient. All right. So next would be the details on the panelists. So how many panelists will be there, and so this would be basically a trio in the panelist page, right? So in the platform there would be three panelists. So one would be your technical guy, one would be your managerial guy, one would be the HR guy, right? So there would be three panelists over here, and accordingly they'll be asking the questions. All right. So accordingly, they'll be asking the question. So you have to be prepared for all the questions. All right. So duration, now this is slightly interesting because unlike the ninja interviews what have taken place earlier, or the actual digital interviews what have taken place earlier, the NQT pathway to digital interviews are seen to be having a slightly higher duration. So on an average, the duration has have been seen to be 60 minutes to 65 minutes of duration. So you heard me right. So it's almost going to be an hour or pretty much more than that. So they are asking a lot of things when it comes to this particular interview. So I anyway have all these questions for you, so you do not have to fret about it, but the duration is going to be huge, guys. So you better be prepared accordingly. All right, so you cannot have or you cannot afford the interview to break down in between. So please be prepared for a very high duration of interview, okay, in case you're selected. So that's about the duration. Next, the platform and the technical specifications. So platform is so far what they've used is Cisco WebEx. That they have they're sending the links, and they're asking the candidates to directly click on the link and enter through that particular link. The platform is going to be Cisco WebEx. So if you're not familiar with the features of this particular platform or the tools of this particular platform, get used to it. No technical specification is required for your platform, as in Cisco WebEx is a general tool, so you do not have to install a separate software, just like what you had to do in your NQTs. So if you remember in your NQTs, I think you had to install a separate, safe examination browser sorts of software and then attend the examination. So nothing of that sort is required for your interviews. All right. So just the link what will be given in your mail, you can just click on that. It'll redirect you to the page where the interview will happen. So this is about the platform and the technical specification. So overall process, I have already told you, so I'll just repeat it again. So every communication over here is happening via email. So please keep checking your emails. So these days, if you're specifically using Gmail, there are three different inboxes, right? So nobody knows how it basically gets categorized. So most of the times it gets categorized into primary, social, and whatever labels you have given, right? So the other one would be related to promotions, if I'm not wrong. So in some cases, the mails have been seen in the promotions part. So earlier in the past, just in case if you have opted TCS mails to be in the promotions, I think there is a high possibility for it to go to the promotions. Or if you have selected in the let's say the other label whatever you have given, so it might go to the other inboxes also. So please keep checking your inboxes irrespective of what they are, primary or the other labels. All right. So so when these emails are sent, right? So they are being sent in two parts, two formats. So I'll just show you the screenshot what we had got from the candidate. So this is a very recent screenshot what I had got from yesterday, right? So 25th of November. And I'll tell you the timeline also. So I'll tell you why it is very important for you to keep checking your emails. I'll just tell you the timelines between these two emails. All right. So this was the first email the candidate had received, and this was in the 24th. All right. So 24th of November, 11:30 p.m. He had got this particular mail. All right, so you heard me right. So 24th night, he had got a mail saying that, okay, your interview is going to be on 25th of November, 10 a.m. All right, so next morning, he had got a mail saying that, okay, so you are selected for the digital profile of interview. So this is uh, so I can see over here, they've specifically mentioned this particular profile, right? So you're selected for digital profile, and the interview is going to be from so and so date. That is already given in the first email, right? So the timeline between these two emails are very tight, guys. So please make it a habit to keep checking your mails. Just before you go, just before you go to your bed, and as soon as you wake up early in the morning. So make it a habit to wake up early in the morning these days. So at least 7 or 8 should be sufficient if I'm not wrong. But again, if you I understand that this is a very tight timeline what the company is giving related to the interviews, but yeah, this is one typical case which I have taken, so that you'll be pretty much aware of what are the things that are going on. So usually what happens is the first mail, right? So this particular mail, I'll just name the mails as 1 and 2. So the first mail, usually candidates used to get like 3 to 4 prior. Second mail, they used to get just 1 day prior to the interview. But this was one typical case wherein I had noticed that the first mail was again 1 day prior, and the second mail was again 1 day prior, right? So both the mails were sent together. So I hope this answer your questions like which profile will I be having the interview for. So you can see that I've already mentioned in the mail. So you will be having a clarity on which profile are you giving the interview for. So you do not have to worry about that. All right. So these would be the basic things for you to understand how the entire process works. So I'm repeating this for I don't know like fourth or fifth time. Please keep checking your mails. All right. So that's very very important. Now let's try to answer your questions. Uh, right. So Gaurav, it's taking some time for them to clarify all the things. So you'll definitely be getting the mails, Gaurav. Not a problem. So we they do not have a specific timeline. It's almost random, is what I can say. So yeah, you have to keep following a routine of checking mails. Yeah, Alvin. So how many days should I wait? So as I told, it's always better to have an optimistic nature, right? So just keep checking your mails. I think that should suffice. So do you have to wait? Do I not have to wait? I think you are the better person over here to decide. So yeah, was successful completed 10 November. All right, so Ninja interview results will obviously be out after all the Ninja interviews are done. So certain people have still not got the mails for Ninja interviews. Are we? So yeah, it'll be dragged a little bit. So yeah, I think it'll be dragged for December also. So mm, yeah, Pragatish, not a problem. You can wait for some time. Okay. Yeah, Priyanka will speak about the branch specific things. Cool. Mohammed Sheikh, as I have told already, so they are still releasing mails out. So yeah, so that's happening in a random fashion. So there's no specific pattern as such. No, Wamshi, all the results are not out yet. So certain people haven't got the mails yet. So that also is supposed to happen. Uh, okay, Ashwin Karthik, can we update your resume? So if you update your resume, you better tell it before the interview. So yeah, I have witnessed one such case where updation of resume had taken place. I'll just tell that as well. How the selection procedure works, Ganesh, the TCS people would not want to reveal it out because it'll be a totally chaotic situation. It totally depends on the criteria, and nobody will be knowing what exactly the criteria is. So if anybody is telling you that, okay, so if you have done one code, you're selected. If you've done two codes, you're selected. I don't think that's the best way for you to decide if you're selected or not, right? Because TCS has not revealed the criteria based on which they're selecting the students, all right? Yes, they are asking similar questions irrespective of what branch you are from. So I'll anyway show you the questions. They are pretty tricky. I'm just saying you upfront, so that you'll be prepared. All right. Uh, yes, Vasant Kannan. Yes, we have seen that they go in depth related to the subjects. So yes, you have to be prepared. Okay. Uh, Saivali, not exactly according to the region specific. We have seen that up north and up south, down south, they're giving random fashion. So people up north also are getting meals. People down south are also getting meals. So there's no specific pattern. So yeah, that's about it. Harshdeep. Okay, I gave my interview in 20th November. Harshdeep, they'll okay. So just to give you a heads up over here, nobody who has given the interview has got the final offer letter or letter of intent, right? So if you've already given the interview, I think it's better for you to have a hope that you keep your fingers crossed and hope that you get selected. So nobody has got the results yet. Some of they have only finished the interview, but even they have not got the final confirmation. Harshdeep, I hope I've answered that question. All right, so now let's go about with the concepts what they have asked in the interviews. So as I told, they are asking pretty tricky questions. They are not having any distinguishing between if you are a non-CS or IT student or you're from a non-circuitry background or a CAC IT. So the questions are going to be tricky. So I'm just giving you a heads up so that you'll be prepared accordingly. All right. So yeah. So I'll just put up all the topics. Which they've asked so far. So you can see all these topics or the concepts are related to the digital trending technology. So if you have known that a digital profile specifically is for the people who work in TCS related to the digital trends. So it can be Internet of Things, it can be big data, cloud computing, software testings, or virtual realities or augmented realities. So these are the concepts which in real they'll be working after they get selected into TCS via the TCS digital profile, correct? So while the interview happens, it is, I think, their job to check if the candidate already knows at least certain things related to the concepts what he or she will be working for in the future, right? So these are the concepts which they have asked so far. And very interesting thing is based on your project, right? So if your project is pretty much interesting, on an average, I told you it's like 60-65 minutes of duration. So 60 to 70% of the time has been seen to be spent on your project. So if your project is pretty much interesting, they'll ask a lot of questions related to your project. They will go in depth related to your project. So you better be prepared on that. And if your project is slightly okay and it's basic and you have slightly modified the things which are already there, then they might ask questions related to the other topics or the concepts what I've put across over there on the screen. So please be prepared with the the digital trends that are out there. Okay, so I'm not saying that you'll have to be masters in this, but at least you should be knowing what these concepts are. All right, so how they work and what are the things that they've modified and all that. All right. Yeah, Sai Kumar. Right, so you'll be getting the second mail. I think Sai, you have joined the yeah, you have joined the live late. I think so. As I told, there'll be two mails. So once you get a mail saying that you have been selected for the interview, there'll be a second mail which will be mentioning the profile. So you can just wait for the second mail, Sai. Uh, Internships, and no, I don't think, Ganesh Raj, there's not going to be any internships. Implementations of DSA, data structures and algorithms. Arjun, so if your project is related to this, yes, of course, they have been questions related to DSA. But in specific, they are not asking questions related to DSA. So here the concepts are pretty much higher than the normal things what we have, right? So in normal interviews, they would ask questions related to DSA or basic technical concepts, pseudo codes, and all that. But here it's not like that. The concepts itself are a bit higher in level. All right. Yes, Harshdeep, correct. Will expect us to be at no. As I told Karthik, you do not have to be a master in these. You just have to see. If I say that cloud computing out of 100%, you should be at least knowing 10 to 15% of it. So I think I've given you an idea. Uh, Okay, will the students get rejected in the digital interview and not get the chance for Ninja as well? Okay, a very good question over here, Dikshit. So I'll just give you a brief idea of how this is working right now. So if you finish the coding round, you are given a chance to get into the interview. Now you still do not know if it is for the Ninja profile or the digital profile, correct? So once you finish your interview, okay, now they will decide if you are going for the digital profile or Ninja profile. Beforehand itself, they would be sending you mail saying that this is for your digital interview, this is for a Ninja interview. All right. So I think I can show you the mail again. Right. So people who have joined the live lead. So the second mail, what I put the number as 2 over there. The second mail, you can see the circle part. They'll be mentioning if it's a digital profile or a Ninja profile. Now, is there a possibility that even after giving digital, will I not be selected for TCS at all? Very, 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 very rare case. Okay. It has happened. I cannot say that it is not going to happen. You'll definitely get a job in TCS. Let's say let's assume that you have done very, very pathetic in the interview. So obviously you would not be given a digital profile nor the Ninja profile. But let's say if you have done very good in digital, so basically there are three scenarios, three cases over here. So you have done very good in the digital interview, you're selected for the digital interview, digital profile, as simple as that. You have done okay-ish in the digital interview, there is a possibility that they will give you the Ninja profile. All right. Next, you have done very pathetic in the interview. There is a high, possibility that you may not get selected for any of the profiles. So the last case is very, very rare. But yes, this is also possible. So you cannot take it very lightly, guys, just because you have been selected for digital from NQT. So yes, so if you do not perform well, there is a chance that you might get rejected also. So please give your best shot out there. All right. Uh, okay. Okay, will they ask to solve coding questions? Okay, now again a very good question. So, if you have already passed the advanced coding round, it is pretty much evident that you are a good coder, right? So, or you are a person who is pretty good in logical thinking and all that sorts. So, so far out of, let's say, let's talk in terms of numbers. So, if there are 10 cases what I've analyzed, uh, at least 9 out of them there were no such cases wherein they have asked a candidate to share the screen and start coding and start explaining the code. So they have not asked anybody to code so far. So I've given you the numbers, so it's very rare. But you can anyway be prepared. But here highly they are testing your knowledge based on the trends, the trending technologies, right? So the concepts what I put up over there. I hope I've answered that question, Shashank. Jitesh will be getting it soon, not a problem. Uh, Yeah, I attended the coding round. Didn't get any mails after that. So yeah, so again, I'll repeat it. I've already answered this anyway, Jitesh. So if you have attended the coding round, you'll get a mail. Not to worry. So you just have to wait for some time. The process is happening very slow, guys. So I can understand your anxious nature over here. So not a problem. So you just have to wait. All right. Good. So let's go to the next part, the actual questions what they have asked so far. So if you want to take a screenshot of the concepts, I think you could have taken. So Yeah, or you can go back in the video and I can take a screenshot. So anyway, so some of the questions what I've asked in the technical part, right? So let's just have a look at that. So as I told, 60 to 70% of the questions were based on the projects. So if your project is technical based and it is pretty much interesting, they'll almost spend, like, if the interview will go for an hour, they'll almost spend 40 to 45 minutes of your duration related to your questions based on your projects. So they will definitely go in depth related to your project. So be prepared on that. Uh, okay. Okay, so let's see the first question over here. So, what do you know about deep learning and neural networks? So, this is a very, very general question, right? So, you do not have to be a master in understanding what exactly is a deep learning and what exactly are neural networks, correct? So, basically, these are the trending things. So, this is a subdivision of ML, machine learning concepts. So, ML and AIs. So, deep learning concept is basically where the machine learns repeatedly, irrespective of whether there is a pattern in the data which it has got, or irrespective of the categorization has been done. So one simple example would be the detection of wearing masks, or the detection of are you having any disorders in the eye. So these are very advanced deep learning concepts, right? So you do not have to worry about how it is working, but if you're very much interested, you can anyway go about it, right? But you probably would have to understand what exactly deep learning is, how it works, basic fundamental concepts of how it works, right? So neural networks, it is again a subdivision of artificial intelligence, wherein you might have artificial neural networks or many other types of neural networks. So basically, it is how do I put it? So they've taken the concept of how our human brain works, and they have tried implementing the same in terms of your computers, right? So to put it in very simple terms, so just like how we have neurons in our brain, right? So the electrical signal passing networks, so they have something called as neural networks when it comes to machine learning. So what happens is the information passed from one part of your computer to one more part of the computer, or the algorithm altogether. It will get slightly concentrated, and final result would be so much concentrated that would be the ultimate result. So that would be a neural network. So again, there are a lot of types of neural networks you can go about. So this was the first question. Second one, what do you mean by ML and AI? So again, a very, very general question. So if they feel that you are pretty good in answering these questions, then they'll probably go in depth. If they feel that you're not pretty good in answering these questions, then they'll probably throw at you the other question what they feel is to be asked, right? So ML again is machine learning, AI is artificial intelligence. So it's a wider picture of deep learning and neural networks, right? So you can have a look at it. Okay, this is pretty interesting actually. The next question. So, what IDEs do you prefer? How do you choose them? So, basically, when you go about coding, when you have practiced coding and all, you might have used certain platforms, right? So, you might have used platforms for coding like any other platform, or you might have used uh, offline compiler, right? So basically, IDE is nothing but integrated development environment. So it can be so different IDs are available for different languages, right? So I'm not saying that you cannot use one single ID for all the languages, but specifically, okay, for example, we have something called as PyCharm, specific to Python. We have something called as Visual Basics. So Visual Basics, generally we use it for C++ and Java. Then we have Dave C++. So the name itself says that it is for C++. So what IDs do you prefer and how do you choose them? So this basically gives the interviewer an idea of whether you know the backend processing of the compiler or not. All right. So in certain compilers, the working is different, right? So the bit size for integers will be different in certain compilers, specifically like GCD compilers, right? So so it'll be totally different. So you can go in depth related to IDs. So or else you can just brief up in detail like all right. So we have something called as Jupyter Notebook when it comes to Python again. So again, if you ask me, Python, it's always better to have PyCharm or Jupyter Notebook. Others are also there, but these are the two main trending things. All right. So here you can directly install other modules with simple commands like pip install, pip install is what you can say, name of the module. So it will directly install all the modules. So there are certain advantages when it comes to certain IDs. There are certain disadvantages when it comes to certain IDs. So basically, the interview is trying to understand whether you know the difference between different IDs or not. So you can just anyway have a look at it. Let's answer some of the questions over here. Yeah. So if you're not from a CS background, right? So okay, there's a question over here. If I've not done any project related to CS, what type of questions can I expect? So as I'm displaying over here, so these are the questions what you can expect. Okay, I'm not sure what the name is over here. So if your project is typically not from a computer science backend, so you can expect questions based on the digital trending technologies. So that is what is being displayed over there. So you can, yeah, probably have a look at it. So what is NLP and its uses? So NLP is basically natural language processing. So natural language processing. So when it comes to natural language processing, I can tell you certain examples like we have something called as sentiment analysis. So what they do in sentiment analysis is you might have seen that a lot of product oriented companies, they take feedbacks, be it or you can call it as reviews, right? So be it Amazon, Flipkart, or any particular product based company, or any a company which sells a product, they will have a review at the end, or they'll have a feedback at the end. Now there'll be millions of people who'll be buying that particular product, right? So it's not in hundreds, right? So it'll be thousands certain times, in lakhs, and it goes on, grows also certain times. So do you think the company will just sit and read each and every comment? So that's practically not possible, right? So this is one practical application of NLP, so natural language processing. So what they'll do is they have something called a sentiment analysis. So they'll try understanding what is the sentiment of the user. So there are certain keywords, right? So we always have these keywords called as good, bad, okay, very bad. So they'll have a particular a set of words which they'll have a look with the feedback what they had got, and they'll try doing analysis. So this is again a part of machine learning, wider part of machine learning, right? So natural language processing. So you can have a look at it. It's quite interesting. All right. Next would be brief about IoT and its applications. So all these questions would be asked if your project, as I told, is not related to CS. So if your project is typically related to computer science or information or technology, whatever it is, right? So you better be prepared on the depth of it. All right. So these questions will be slightly asked less. So let's try answering some of your questions. Abhishek, no, it does not mean like that. So you probably would have to wait. So a lot of people are waiting. So you have to get in line, Abhishek. Uh, Harshit, okay, so I'm not in the right situation to answer your question. So TCS, Cognizant, Infosys, so it all depends on the individual. So you can decide which company you want to get into. So if you have offers on all these. Uh, if we haven't done projects using new technologies, then will they consider? Of course, yes. So Vishnu, as I told, these are the questions which they'll be asking you. So project will not be a matter if you have not done any project based on the technical concepts, right? Uh, okay, Berlin, if you, okay, I'm not sure if your actual name is Berlin. So, Berlin, if you have your project based on collections, I would definitely advise you to have a look at collections, Java collections. Oops, they are asking in general. Okay, so this is one more point for you to note down. So, irrespective of whether you're from a technical or a non-circuitry background, they're asking questions related to OOPS, one or two questions minimum. So you better be prepared on the four pillars of OOPS. So when I say four pillars of OOPS, data abstraction, encapsulation, polymorphism, and inheritance, right? So basically these four concepts they are asking, even if you're from a non-circuitry background. So to answer the question which I had put up over there, brief about IoT and its applications. So can any of you tell me what can be the applications? So IoT is basically Internet of Things. So as it says, it's related to internet and things, right? So you beautiful example would be your traffic signal working, right? So what happens over here is the traffic signals either they can be wired connected to a main server, or these days what's happening is they have a wireless connection which works via the internet, right? So the signals, everything, they are working via the internet or the cloud or whatever servers they are fit in, right? So there will be a central place via which they'll be operating the entire traffic system, right? So it's called as a central access room or the central room. So that is one beautiful example what I can give related to Internet of Things. One more example can be related to your GPS signals. Okay, so your GPS signals, what it does is if it is clubbed into your cars, what it'll say which direction the car is supposed to move about, right? So you're supposed to take the pathway where there's no traffic. That's the main objective, right? So it will first check where there is a lot of traffic, so you can see the red line in the parts of map, right? So it is again one of the part of IoT, not entirely. So these are certain applications what you can give. Car parking, yes, yeah, car parking is also there. Vaishnavi, good one. Smart homes, Karthik, correct. So you guys already know certain things. So if you just Google Baba is already there. So if you have a search, right? So if you can just have a look at the applications, they are pretty interesting, and I can guarantee you that you'll go on reading a lot about it. So you do not have to know in depth of the technical concepts. So they are pretty much interesting. All right, that's that. Are they asking coding questions also? And if yes, what level? Abhinav, as I've already told, it's very rare. So if I have to speak in terms of numbers, out of 10 cases, what I've taken, 9 cases at least they have not asked coding, right? So when I say that, there were, yeah, one or two very rare cases where they have asked coding questions. It's anyway better to the coding questions are pretty normal. They're not asking very high level coding questions. They're just asking them to uh, you know explain the logic. Okay, not entirely code down, because you have already finished the advanced coding down, so there's no point in asking you to code again. So that's the main objective over there. I hope I've answered that question, Abhinav. uh, yeah. Yeah, let's go to the next question. What are some applications of deep learning? Yeah, so deep learning, I've already given you examples of how it works. So basically, machine learning, if it goes into a deeper perspective, the neural networks perspective, it basically becomes deep learning. So can you guys give me certain examples of deep learning? Yeah, so the AI is what we have, right? So I had given this example in the actual digital workshop as well. So Sophia is the AI what you might have known. So how Sophia works is she'll try analyzing all the things what the user does. She'll try processing, and there'll be a data set collected, right? So there would be a data set collected. So based on these data sets, for example, if a person in front of Sophia has a smile on his face, which means that he's happy. So a lot of times there would be certain data collected, and based on these, there would be certain channelized decisions made. So that's basically the simplest form of how I can explain you what deep learning is, right? So the applications are everywhere where you have got AI. So anywhere you can see a AI, you have got deep learning concepts these days. So we can name any of these concepts. Yeah, correct. Image classification, image recognition. Yeah, so you can see that certain trending videos on YouTube or anywhere, you can see that people say that this is AI based mask detection technique what we use, correct? So that is also related to deep learning. So you can see that green square color what you can see on the, if they are using the mask, you can see a red square if they're not using the mask. So that's basically all related to deep learning and artificial intelligence. All right. uh, okay. You have complete. Okay. Naveen has okay, full stack development. I put cloud and ML as my areas of interest. The probability that I can. Okay, so the probability that you can clear digital, I cannot tell you what the probability is, because you are the person who will be attending the interview. So I can tell you the probability of you getting the questions based on a project. It is very high. So if you have put your projects based on full stack development of cloud and ML, there's a very high chance, very high probability of getting the questions from that. So Naveen, you would have to probably get up. All right. Yeah, Karthik, behavioral analytics. Yeah, correct. Okay. So let's answer some of the questions. I answered two questions wrongly. I asked more than 15, 16 questions. Okay. So again, it depends on the HR, right? So are you, if you feel that you have done pretty good, then again, there's no point in letting your hope down. So let's just wait for the next mail, right? So I cannot predict what the HR feels. So I'm not in a situation to tell you what are the chances. Mail regarding selection of interview. I've updated my resume. Will that be considered or the old one? All right. So Priyanka, they basically do not have your resume. So just to tell you upfront, uh, the HR panelists, whatever I had spoken to the candidates so far, they have told that they just have the application form, and they do not have anything apart from that, right? So they have whatever you have uploaded via the platform while you register to NQT. So, certain cases, HRs have also told the candidates that I do not have your resume. So, is it okay for you to share your resume via the screen? Right. So, it's better to have your resume. If you have updated it, not to worry. So, you can speak upfront that, okay, so the older, if you have uploaded already the resume, you can say that, okay, so this is a newer or updated resume, what I've got. So, I'm just sharing it via the screen. You can also do that. Right. So, it's not going to be a major problem. uh, Data structure questions. Abhinav, it's pretty less. So as I told, data structure questions, yeah, I'm not saying they'll totally not ask, but the probability is very less. They have not asked very high data structure questions. How many days after the interview will the Okay, how many days after the interview will the results be out? Even if you ask the TCS people, I don't think they are clear about it because they have not finished the entire process. Certain people are still getting the mails. So again, you just have to wait for it. So let's go about with certain HR questions what they have asked. So if you have any queries related to HR questions, you can drop it in the chat box. I'll probably try answering that which is the best way you can answer the HR questions. And I also have certain questions which were asked to the candidates. All right, but just to give you a heads up. They have asked a very minimal amount of HR questions. So as I told, out of 60 to 65 minutes of on an average duration, almost like 40 to 45 minutes of duration was for your technical questions. Only like 15 to 10 minutes it was for your HR questions. So you can expect a very minimal amount of HR questions. They're asking in depth related to all the questions. All right, so let's have a look at it. Project, I'm not saying that it is totally necessary. There was one case to answer Hashita's question over here. So, is project necessary? So, one of the candidate whom I had spoken, he had it the project ongoing, so he had not mentioned anything about it in the resume when he had uploaded it for the NQT process. All right. So when it comes to his actual interview, he was asked if he has finished his project or what is he planning on doing if he has not finished it, or is it ongoing, or how is it in his progress. Right. So then they had started asking this question. So uh, I'm not saying it is practically necessary, but I think if you have it, you better be prepared on the project. Should I send connection request to HR after interview online? Okay. uh, I would not advise you to do that because it will be a normal tendency for you to keep texting the HR asking if I'm selected, if I'm not selected. So that would be there, being a human, right? So that's a human tendency. So just to ask a question if you're selected or not selected, I would not advise you to get in touch with the HR over LinkedIn. But if you want to truly understand how TCS works and how the HRs work over there, and then yeah, obviously. Avi, I hope I've answered that question. Uh, okay, so let's try answering some of the questions. Tell me something about yourself. So this is a basic question. So in all our workshops, I have been saying this. So the optimal way of answering this particular question is do not stop. So because you have a lot of things to speak about yourself, right? So you are a person who have been living for a very long time, at least now for like 18, 20 years now, minimum, right? So you should be knowing about yourself very much. You should at least be able to speak for it, like for until and unless the other person asks you to stop. That is the best way to answer this question. But if you're not able to do it, the optimum duration to answer this particular question would be a minute or so. So after a minute, if you're not able to continue, you can stop, right? So that is how you can go about answering this particular question. Next would be why TCS. Yeah, so this is pretty much asked everywhere. So out of 10 candidates, at least 7 to 8 candidates, they had asked this particular question. So why TCS? Why do you want to get into our company? Why TCS? Right. So basically, when it comes to TCS, you can tell about the trending technologies, what they use in their company, and how it is a leading brand. All right. So how you can include the motive of Tata groups or motive of Tata companies, their turnovers, recently what has happened in Tata. So you can just have a background check and on whatever is happening in Tata consultancy services. So you can talk about the Tata groups as well. So this being a part of it, the child company of it, you can speak about that as well, right? So there's no correct answer when it comes to this particular question, but more you know, the merrier, right? What are the trending technologies that TCS has used recently? Okay, so this is one interesting question again. So, as I told, when it comes to digital profile, you will probably be asked to work in the trending technology part, right? So, if you get selected, fingers crossed, let's say that you get selected via the digital profile, you will be asked to work under the digital trending end of TCS, right? So they want to check if you already know what are the trending technologies they have used, right? So just to give you a heads up on certain things, they have implemented the artificial technique of understanding if the person is satisfied or not with their products. Okay, so this is one simple thing what I can explain. Apart from this, there have been a lot of improvements that they have come up with their managing processes or managing the team or managing the pandemic situation. So in certain situations, they were not able to track or have a hold on who is working from home or who is not working from home, or whom to give a work from home, not to give a work from home. The skeletal system of how it works. Only certain people are supposed to come to work. So all these, they used certain techniques related to machine learning, right? So this is the simplest example what I can give. So if you're interested, you can have a look at it as well over Google. Like, what do you know about a company? So again, you would have to have a background check. So more you know, the merrier again over here in this particular question. Okay, so certain scenario-based questions were also asked. So as I told, HR questions are very, very minimal. So they might ask you for 10, 15 minutes, as I've already told you. But when they ask HR questions, they have made it pretty sure that it is worth it, right? So they're not asking very general question, right? So we can see the last point or the last question what I have put up over there on the screen. So if I end up criticizing you, even after you do a good job, so how will you manage yourself? So it's a common tendency of a human being that if we do a good job, we would expect appreciation, right? Or at least a good work, something like that, right? So if the manager ends up criticizing you, then there's no point in you not to break down, right? So obviously, if you're a human, you'll definitely break down. If you know, if you not show it outside physically, at least inside within, you would break down. So how would you manage this particular situation? So you can try. Giving answers like, okay, first I'll try to understand if my perspective was correct in the way I have done the job. If it was not correct, I'll try to analyze how it can be made correct, and I'll try to do the job. And furthermore, I'll try to do it in the perspective of the entire team and not as an individual. So we can try giving answers like this, and you'll manage yourself by that's what. So being a human, it is obvious that anybody would break down, but you will try to uh, make it a choice that you would not break down. So you can plan your answers like this. All right. What motivates you, especially during this pandemic? So yeah, so most of us, we are in a situation like, okay, so a pandemic outside, so no jobs out there. We have got a lot of mishaps happening. So how do you motivate yourself? How do you keep yourself boosted up in this particular pandemic situation? So I can give examples related to your hobbies. You can try linking to the things which you already know. So I'm not saying that you'll always have to give innovative answers. So you can try linking these questions to your hobbies, or you can try linking to your passion. So if you dance, or if you sketch, or whatever it is, you can try using this for motive, right? Next up would be, are you willing to relocate? Everybody, they have asked this particular question. All right, so there's probably out of 10, I can say 10 candidates. As far as I have analyzed, they have asked this particular question. So probably because after the pandemic, they would be required to go to different, states or different places which they're not comfortable in. So you can be frank over here. So I'm not saying that you always have to agree with the HR that okay, I'm ready to relocate, even if you're not ready to relocate. So you can be frank over here with your opinion. All right, but be polite and be diplomatic. Okay, so that's so. Let's try answering some of your questions. My biggest question is it. Okay, Navin, it's not necessary to have your projects based on the trending technologies. So, as I've already answered this question, so if you have your project based on the trending technologies, they'll start asking questions based on it for a minimum of, let's say, like 45 minutes. All right. But if your project is of decent level, which you have done slight modification based on which the project was already there, or something of that sorts, they will ask questions on it, and then probably they'll go to the recent trends. Okay, so nobody will be able to escape the trending technology. So that's the ultimate thing what I wanted to say. Okay, Suresh, I probably did not read your chat. Sorry for that. Okay, how to drive the digital interview on ML. Okay, so I think you might have seen this particular part. So during the concept slide, okay, so this is one of the things which I probably had missed. So fundamentals of programmings, and you can see all languages. Okay, I'm not able to find the pointer. Yeah, all languages, but Python on the favorite end. So even if you have written Java, C++, and all the other languages, Python was a favorite of the interviewers. So basically, because all these are trending technologies, Python would be the easier way to approach them. Correct. So Python has been the favorite end when it comes to the programming languages. So even if you have written Java, even if you have written C++, or there is Python on the list of programming languages, what you know, they would probably try asking more questions related to Python. All right. So this is one more point which you will have to keep in mind. All right. I hope I've answered that question. 19th digital exam. Saura, I'm not able to understand the question, so if you can elaborate a little bit more. Uh, yeah, Abhinav, if you want to drive it towards digital and ML, you would have to start explaining things related to digital and ML, right? So, Abhay interview result date, nobody would know it. Even if you ask the TCS people, they would not be in a solid situation to tell you which is the exact date, because they have to finish the interview first of all. So yeah, I hope I've answered that question, Abhay. How TCS is expanding. This is one of the HR. Yeah, correct. So as I told, why TCS, why our company. So when you start reading about why TCS, why our company, what is their company growth and all, you'll probably able to answer this question as well. So why, how TCS is expanding. So yeah. Uh, okay, Abhay, I hope I've answered your question. So please stop. Yeah. Good. Right. So let's see one more question. So what are the current digital trends? So if the candidate does not know anything related to the the programming concepts or the technical things, they would start with this particular question. So what are the current digital trends and all that? So you probably by now already know what are the current digital trends, so you do not have to worry about that. Fluency, does it really matter? So this was one of the things which I had also read, and the comments what I had got from one of the other videos as well of us. So as the comment had read in the other videos, you do not have to be a Shakespeare, right? So a normal decent English would be sufficient. You need not be Shashi Tharoor sorts of having a fluency of Shashi Tharoor sorts. So if you're basically able to convey the things whatever you know, right? So Dileepan, if you have certain thoughts in your mind, if you're able to convey it via English, that should be sufficient. You do not have to use fancy words or vocabulary and that such. But if you're having that capability, then well and good. If not, then that should not be a problem. A decent thing is fine. Uh, Yeah, Preeti, so 2020, yes, of course, nobody, I mean, like, I cannot say that they are distinguishing between 2020, 2021 and the others, right? So, mails are still pending for some students, irrespective of which year of pass they are. So, you might have to wait a little bit more, Preeti. Sample answers for tell me about yourself for digital. Okay, fine. Max questions were from project. Yes, Sabai, correct. In case if someone don't clear digital interview, they'll get chance for ninja interview. All right, so I'll tell you how it happened in the last year. So we are anticipating the same thing to happen this year as well. So if you do not clear the interview for a digital profile, okay, they will analyze if you are eligible for the ninja profile in the same interview. All right, so this is what we had seen in the last year. So if you're not capable enough to clear the digital profile interview, in that interview itself, they'll analyze if you're eligible for the ninja profile. Okay, so they had not given a separate interview for ninja. So that's how it had worked in last year. So we are anticipating the same thing to happen this year as well. But yeah, you cannot predict anything right now. I hope I've answered that question, Ayush. Uh, okay, till now, I haven't got the NQT results. Right. So Imtiaz Ali, so even if you haven't got the confirmation at all, I think, yeah, there's slightly lesser possibility of you getting any further mails, because most of them at least have got a confirmation saying that, you're selected for the interview or you're selected for the coding round. So yeah, I do not want to put your hopes down, but yeah, that's the practical thing out there. What can we tell about your project? A lot of things, Santosh. So what have you done your project based on how it is happening? What are the updations you want to do? How do you want to modify it? Why have you chosen it in the first place? A lot of things. What if they ask us expected CTC? Karthik, it is pretty much evident that when it comes to digital profile, it is always 7 LPA. So I don't think they are going to ask expected CTC. All right. So 7 LPA is a standard what they have been maintaining for digital profile. Uh, Okay, you're selected for Ninja interview. If I perform well in Ninja, will I be selected for digital profile? No, Saurabh. Actually, for NQT, the pathway is pretty much straightforward. So NQT, you do good, you will be selected for digital coding, and then you'll be selected for digital profile. Okay, in case you do good in that as well. But if you do not go for coding round, directly go for the interview, then you'll be only eligible for the Ninja profile. I hope I've answered that question, Saurabh. NQT score. Yeah. Okay. I didn't get interview date. You would be getting it. Just have some patience. Can we negotiate on the salary? So, I would not advise you to do on that because you're just starting your, professional life. So, yeah. Cool. So, one more question: why IT software specifically for non-IT CSC students? So, you can be prepared on these questions as well. Thanks. Yeah. Yeah, why TCS? So see, Santosh will be having different answers. So if I would have to get into TCS, I would say that the way they work and the work ethics they have, passion, it's actually a very good, interesting thing. So if you have a look at all the work ethics or the way they manage things and how they try to boost in the larger perspective India's economy. So it's a very interesting thing. So we can have a look at it. So we can answer on those for YTCs. Advanced coding round results. Yeah, that's what Vishnu. So people who have given the advanced coding round, they will definitely be getting a mail. Whether they'll be going for the interview, right? So the interview basically will be for either your digital profile or your Ninja profile. So I think you have joined the live late. So I had shown you a screenshot of a mail. So they'll specifically mention which profile you're having the interview for. All right. Uh, Right. So I'll just brush up on the things for you to remember when you attend the interview. So just having a brush up over here. So documents, what you're supposed to have is all your mark sheets, your 10th mark sheets, 12th mark sheets. So in mail, they would have mentioned you're supposed to have all these documents. Your resume, you better have it. Then your what is that application form, they have not asked in the mail typically, but I would advise you to have it. Then your government ID proof. So all the documents whatever I've spoken so far of, have a digitized copy as well as a soft copy of it, because certain times digitized copies, you'll not be able to spot it appropriately using the laptop camera or the system webcam. So they would ask you to share your screen and show the documents. So that is one thing. Next thing is no rescheduling will be done. So this was written in the mails, even in the Ninja interview. Same thing they have told in digital interviews as well. So please keep checking your mails, guys. Okay, so they would not want to reschedule because there is already a lot of delay in their process. So if it's a problem from their end, they'll definitely reschedule it. But if it's a problem for your end, so you have not seen the dates appropriately, or if you have missed the slots, there would be no rescheduling. Technical setup. So power and internet is one. As I told, the duration is going to be pretty huge. So it's going to be minimum on an average of 60 to 65 minutes of duration. So please have backup in case anything goes wrong. Okay, and no external softwares are supposed to be installed. So that is one heads up. Know your projects in detail, very very important. So if, especially if your project is related to computer science and other technical projects, right? So know your projects in detail, they are definitely going to go in depth. All right, so even if your project is not based on CS and IT, it's always better to know your project. Okay, not only for this particular interview, for any other future interviews, right? So try knowing your project in detail. Dress code, they had not mentioned anything related to dress code in the mail, but in the TCS Ninja interviews, what they had got from NQT, they had a clear-cut, instruction saying that business formals are supposed to be there. But in digital interview mails, they have not mentioned it specifically, but you can anyway, take an initiative to have a business formal. So we can wear formals and go for the, like, sit for the interview. So that's about dress code. Yeah, so mandatory to take it up in the laptop and desktop. Please do not use your phones, because certain times, as I told, they would ask you to share your screen. So that would be pretty much tedious when it comes to your phones. So I won't advise you to use your phones for your interviews. Next up would be to keep checking your mail. So this is the last point what I want to put up over here. So I've already shown you the timeline, how pretty tight it was for one of the cases. So make it a habit to check your meals 3 times a day at least. Okay, one early in the morning as soon as you wake up. I understand it's pretty difficult for you to change your habits, but at least make it a habit for these days. One more would be late night when you go to sleep, and one between the days. Cool. How many days before the interview can we expect to get the mail? So normally they used to send the mails at least 3 to 2 days before the actual interview. But Sai Charan, I had shown one case where the mail was sent 11:30 in the one day prior to the actual interview date. So for example, if the date was 25th, 24th 11:30 p.m., the candidate has a got mail that 25th will be his interview, and he has got one more mail saying that you're selected for digital profile. So very rare cases are there where the timeline is pretty tight. So yeah, that's about that. What if I don't know DBMS? Is it mandatory? No for digital profile. uh, right, so I cannot say that anything is mandate over here, because based on the concepts whatever you're familiar with, they'll try asking questions, right? So DBMS does not come under the digital training techniques, but I would anyway advise you to have certain commands of it known. Okay, so OS, I don't think they have asked any questions so far in any of the cases. So Aprajita, I hope I've answered your question. Cool. Have done any project? What should they ask? Okay. If you haven't done any projects, so I think they'll probably ask questions based on the recent technologies. So whatever I have put. Right. So cool. So I hope I've answered most of your questions. And okay, digital given on 12th November, still not received any mails. Yeah, Shubham. So yeah, cool. Yeah, as I told, certain people have finished their coding round. They haven't got any mails. Not to, they have just started it. right? So they've just started like 2 or 3 days prior. They've started it, so not to worry. They'll start sending the mail slowly. In the interviews, they had not asked anything related to bond and agreement. Probably after you get the letter of intent, you might have a better clarity on that. So far as we have analyzed, no, they probably have not. I'm not sure about that. I cannot give you a confirmation because, as far as I have analyzed, they have not asked in the interviews. All right. Gaurav, you might have your information from somewhere, but yeah, that's what I told. So cool. So I hope I've answered most of your questions. So all the best, guys. It is going to be tricky. So I cannot fool you over here. So it's obviously tricky because the package is higher and it's digital profile. So please make the best use of the time what you have got before the mails that pops up in your inbox, right? So keep checking about the recent trends. Keep checking about TCS. They're what can I say? The company is designed in such a way that they're proud about all the things what they do, and that is actually true. They do a lot of things pretty good. So keep checking about all the things what TCS has done so far in the recent timeline, right? So that should help you out. uh, you have done all your projects regarding Arduino. Yeah. So there was one case where the candidate did not know anything about technical concepts, but the candidate was from one particular branch, so he was familiar with MATLAB. All right. So they asked if he knows question. I mean, he knows concepts related to MATLAB. So they started asking questions related from there, right? So you can expect questions deviating from the recent trends certain times if you're not familiar with any of the concepts. So that is also there. All right. So yeah, core domain, they have not asked any questions. So as I told, MATLAB anyway, it is somewhat related to the programming concepts. I think probably that is why they showed more interest. But core domain, like specifically, let's say if you're from mechanical, if you're from electrical or electronics architecture, or any particular non-circuitry background, uh, they have not asked any core questions. So you do not have to worry about your core concepts. Please be prepared for the digital training concepts. Uh, Okay. Am I Python basic DSA anything important left except these? Abhinav, that pretty much sums it up. Yeah. College placement that I've cleared first round. Yeah, Rohit, you can expect them to intimate at least 2 days prior, but as I told, there were cases where the timeline was pretty tight. So, Rohit, yeah, I cannot guarantee you that you'll be getting 2 days prior. Okay, there was one such case where the timeline was very tight. Uh, No, it would definitely send mails, do the interview, then give you the opportunity. Nobody will get selected directly. All right. Avi, I hope I've answered the question. All right, guys. So as I told, please prepare. Please make use of the time what you've got before the mail pops up in your inbox, and keep checking your mails. Very, very important. I hope everybody who has come to this particular workshop gets selected, and you have your dream job in your hand. So all the best. Do well. And yeah, we would anyway be here to support related to any of the queries you have in case I've missed any of the questions. So thank you so much for coming for this particular workshop. Have a great evening. Bye bye. Take care.